So I'm traveling right now. I'm going to Philadelphia for the AWP conference. And as a result, you might notice that the set is very different. I have literally taken every plant, real or fake, that I could find and stacked it behind me. So that's what we're doing today. That's what's happening. It's different, but I'm going to try to work with it. Is it a stack of books? No, but it's what I've got. So hopefully that is good enough. This is the latest I've ever done recording, so nocturnal alien species. In today's episode, I'm talking about why you should love reading books every day. This is the second part in my series about the pleasures of reading. I'm talking about 5 more benefits of reading every day. Reading books is a form of exercising your brain. The benefits of sitting with the text, be it fiction or nonfiction or poetry, are so far-reaching that if you're not reading every day, even for only 10, 15, 20 minutes, I think you're doing yourself a disservice. And that's the purpose of today's video, to inspire you, to give you that motivation that you need to read even when you don't feel like it. And even if you are already reading every day, if you stay until the end of today's video, you will leave with a deeper appreciation for reading, and that is going to make the act of reading every day easier and more enjoyable. As always, I'm Samuel, and you can call me Sam if you're watching today's video, and this is the only show on the internet that is produced by 2 corgis. So let's dive in. First up on today's list is the improvement of your analytical skills. When I was doing my undergrad and just beginning my creative writing journey, I had a professor who called stories ecologies of meaning. And he didn't differentiate between fiction, nonfiction, poetry, whatever. He said, every text that you pick up, every text that you come across is an ecology of meaning. And I just love that phrase so much, ecology of meaning. It's just, to read is to expose oneself to different ecologies of meaning. When we read, the world of the text is recreated inside of us. And to quote the 19th century French poet Charles Baudelaire, a book is a garden, an orchard, a storehouse, a party, a company by the way, a counselor, a multitude of counselors. When you read, when you immerse yourself in an ecology of meaning, you are forced to interpret a number of different characters. You're forced to organize an entire world inside of you. There's this strange communication between what is outside in the text and what is inside of you. To try to put it in simpler terms, you're effectively tracking a bunch of different moving parts. And I think the rehearsal of this observational and organizational skill will follow you elsewhere in your life. And I think that's what reading is all about. It's about digging into a text and trying to enjoy your way to self-improvement. Reading is like a test run for analyzing the world as it unfolds itself before us. That's what I used to tell my students at Hopkins anyway. And I just think it's an incredibly powerful idea. It's one that will transform the way you interact with every text you come across, and it's one that will transform how you just exist as a person when you are away from a book and just trying to be normal. Number 7 is an improved sense of focus. Again, like I said in my previous video, there is data to support this, but I think you kind of have to be drinking the Kool-Aid to be this far into the weeds with me, because I am not at all interested in digging into the data. It doesn't sound fun to me. And let's be honest, there are worse Kool-Aids to drink than one that's reading every day for 10, 15, 20 minutes is good. So hopefully you're just here riding it out with me. That would be good. One of the reasons why I think reading every day can be so valuable is because reading at its core is about focusing on a text and tracking the development of a series of hyperlinked ideas across time. Hopefully that makes sense, because I barely understood what I just said. And that's because it's a difficult idea. This is something I've discussed at great lengths before in I don't know, however many videos I've made, a lot of videos. Reading is a cognitive exercise. Sitting still in a quiet room and reading a text can actually be a way that you work out your brain. And I think it's so important, and it can be so valuable for you to approach the act of reading with that in mind. One thing that's always bothered me as somebody who went through K through 12 in the United States, went to undergrad and studied creative writing, and then went to graduate school at a pretty prestigious university, is that like people aren't taught to appreciate reading as something that can benefit their health. And I think a consistent daily reading habit of 15, 20, 30 minutes can benefit you in all kinds of ways. But right now I'm wondering, what's your favorite book? What's your favorite novel to track across a few hundred pages? Mine is, and might always will be, In Search of Lost Time by Marcel Proust. It hits the Proust. But I'd always love more recommendations, especially from the people who somehow found their way to my videos. But we're moving on. We have to keep going because I am very tired. It's very late. I have to be up early for a flight in the morning. Okay, the next point is a crucially important one, and it rings especially close to home because of how much I love to write fiction. Right now I'm working on a website where I'll publish my flash fiction, but starting a website is hard, and when it is up, I will post the link to that website in the description because I am talking about my writing, and as a result, I feel it is necessary to plug my writing. So please don't hate me. Don't hate me for my shameless plug, because I am talking about another reason why I think reading every day can be so pleasurable. And that's because it helps us become better writers. And maybe this seems like a minor point, but if you understand the connection between reading and writing, as well as taking small steps every day to improve your writing and reading abilities, then you can harness the powers of what I like to call mankind's most valuable intellectual tools, and you can transform yourself into an unstoppable force to be reckoned with. And that's because reading on a regular basis familiarizes you with the language you're reading in. Speaking from personal experience, when I was in graduate school at Hopkins, I was reading more than I ever had been in my life. It was like 36 books a semester, like 12 a month, I think is what that comes out to, which is like just an insane amount. It's a miracle I'm even here, honestly. I'm kidding, obviously, but the point at the bottom of this is that the words were coming so easily to me during this time in terms of my writing, that I can't help but think that the connection between reading and writing, between input and output, is so tight that you can't really distinguish between the two. And the reason this made the list is because, maybe most importantly, I think to read, to strengthen your reading skills, is to strengthen your thinking skills. It's to strengthen your verbal skills. Writing is a form of output. When you write, you produce something, you put it out into the world, and that's no different than speaking or thinking. So when you write, you sharpen your ability to think and to speak. And for that reason, it's important to always be filling your brain with words that were carefully organized, meaning you should read books. Writing can change your life, even if you only write for 15, 20, 30 minutes a day. It's the same as reading. Inputs and outputs, that's what I'm talking about right now. A reading habit will change your relationship with language. Number 9 is peace. The world is a noisy and chaotic place, and it is always on fire and falling apart. We all want to get away. We all want to escape. Everybody's life is bad, but traveling is expensive. Fortunately, though, books are cheaper than a plane ticket. I say that partially as a joke, but also seriously, sadly. Reading books every day offers us an escape from the chaos of life. By immersing ourselves in a text, we can kind of refocus our perspective, and we can emerge on the other side of a reading with a fresh, new perspective, with new eyes. And I'll say now that I think it's so important that you always remember this. Reading is a meditative exercise. If you've ever meditated, if you've ever tried to meditate and approached it with, this kind of serious mindset, like, okay, I'm going to sit down and meditate, and hopefully on the other side I'll have some great feeling. I think you need to sit down to read with that frame of mind. Poetry, fiction, nonfiction, detective fiction, whatever it might be. Reading provides a kind of peace and tranquility that I think is hard to find anywhere else. And I think when you seek out this peace, you deepen your reading experience, which leads you to getting the most out of every book. Last reason is entertainment. Because how could it be anything else? Because sometimes there isn't anything more practical than just strapping in with a work of art for the simple sake of entertaining yourself. But it is also more complicated than it might sound. And now I'm going to share with you my hot take on the subject of reading books every day. When it comes to being entertained by a work of art, I think you would be hard-pressed to find something that will offer you a better bang for your buck than a novel which stretches a few hundred pages. And if you disagree with me, leave a comment. Fight me. To draw upon the words of Carlos Ruiz Zafón, books are mirrors. You only see in them what you already have inside of you. Depending on a text's length and your reading speed, working through a book can take significantly longer than it might take to, say, watch a movie. And I think it also requires more focus than does a multi-season, multi-episode series. And it is so important that you understand that, because we're living in the informational age right now. And as a result of the non-stop information, the algorithms that are pushing content on us, I think it's more important than ever to seek out forms of entertainment that are, yes, entertaining, but which also hold us to a higher standard and which require more of us and our focus, which is why you should love reading books every day. Like I said toward the beginning of today's video, if you want to learn to find the books that are right for you, and if you want to learn how to read deeper, I hope that you'll check out this playlist, which is full of videos that I've made on the subject of mastering the art, the act of reading. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for choosing my video out of all of the other videos. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time.